Shall we just get this one over and done with?
And put the clip in from Skyrim. Yes, let's do that and continue with the video.
I used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
Generally speaking, there are two ways stories about people who got shot in the face end. Either they die, or do something unthinkably badass. This is a story about the latter.
So, who are we talking about today?
Well, I'm just going to read it straight from the original article, and we're talking about a guy called Kamakura Gongoro Kagemasa, which I'm probably pronouncing wrong, so I apologise for that, but I don't speak Japanese, guys. I'm trying my best.
Who was this guy we're talking about?
Well, he was a samurai from the 11th century, mostly famous for his role in the Battle of Kanazawa, which again, we're probably pronouncing wrong. We're very, very sorry. I am not Japanese. It's so dumb that I have to clarify that every time. Oh, Karl, why can't you pronounce this word from a language you don't speak?
Do you really get that sort of
People
abuse?
do, yeah. Say, oh, how can you not pronounce that word correctly? Oh, it's actually pronounced this way.
Well, why can't people spell your name with a K instead of a C?
Exactly. Or how come they can't spell your name anyway? No one can spell your name.
No one can say it, no one can spell it.
Oh man, you must be like a Starbucks barista's wet fucking dream. Because they've got just like an inbuilt excuse for spelling your name wrong. What always gets me is when I meet Americans, and I've never thought my accent's that bad until I try and speak to an American and go, oh, hi, who are you? It's Karl. Kyle? Karl. Kyle? Yeah, that'll do, mate. That'll do. Like, Karl. Kyle. Karl. Kyle. But no, apparently they sound exactly the same to the ears of every American I've ever met. And then my last name, obviously, Smallwood, always gets a giggle. Yes, it's very funny. Smallwood. Small, and then wood.
Tiny Forest.
That's the one. The thing is though, Tiny Forest, I would unironically love it if my last name was Karl Tiny Forest. That sounds like a Native American name, doesn't it? So what is it they used to do? It's like the first thing they saw when they left the teepee after the baby was born is what they call it.
Yeah.
So it's like you're like Screaming Eagle or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, man, walk out, Tiny Forest. The thing is, mine would be Scunthorpe Car Park. It's like, yeah! The thing is though, there are some really good Native American names out there. I fucking love like Roman Nose. He's a really good one. Named for, he's got his big giant honking nose that everyone loved. It's like, yeah, damn right. Roman Nose, let's go, baby. Or it's like Running Bear. It's like, who leaves their sentence? If you saw a running bear after giving birth to a baby, like, I'm sorry, but the Revenant is happening.
That is such a rare coincidence.
Just like, do you ever think they made stuff up and just pretending they saw stuff that was cooler than it was?
Definitely,
So,
yeah.
oh, just the idea that a baby's born, Revenant happens. So, oh man, it's like those, what is it now? Those lizards in that David Attenborough documentary where they're born and then it's like thousands of snakes attack them instantly. That one that survives, like the most hero lizard ever. Just like you've never seen a more alpha lizard. It's 5 seconds old and it's already just styling on snakes.
Well, don't like baby turtles have to deal with
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Does
So
that-
they get born on like sands.
So I'm
or
really
something.
sorry for putting this clip in, but it's one of those things where it's so harsh, but it's just hilarious that it happened. And I think it was like during Spring Watch or something like, or Beach Watch.
Yeah.
They have they're watching a baby turtle and in the background a seagull picks it up and it happened live on TV, so they couldn't cut it.
This is our blue planet to fiercely protect through our actions and through making our voices heard.
So bringing it back to Kagemasa.
Yeah, we're going to go for that pronunciation.
Yeah. What happened to him?
Well, during this battle, which nobody really knows the full details of, it's just said that he just got smashed in the eye by an arrow. And we don't know which eye the arrow hit him in, we just know that it completely destroyed the eyeball and become lodged in his skull. Unlike, Sir Daniel Fortescue, he didn't go down like a bitch and he said continued to fight with the arrow still in his face after snapping, the end of the shaft off. So it didn't, impede his ability to stab motherfuckers. And before we continue, I just want to ask, why is people getting struck in the eyeball specifically such a common thing in fiction and media and legend? Because it's how King Harold died, isn't it?
Yeah.
He died at the Battle of Hastings by getting struck in the eye. Died. And there's a story from Chinese folklore about a big dick general who got hit in the eye, survived, and according to legend, pulled the arrow out and then ate his own eyeball. I think just the image of a guy with just arrow sticking out of him is like, nah, fine. It's just very visually interesting. Because there are so many stories about it. And I think there's another one from Japanese folklore again. I forget the name of the guy, but he made a last stand on a bridge. And basically he's this guy, huge fucking dude, like a big club, beating the shit out of everybody. And he died when they shot like a hail of arrows at him. But the arrows hit him in such a way, they left him stood up. And for about an hour, no one dared approach the bridge because they didn't know if he was dead or not.
And there's us, like, we complain when we stub our toes.
Yeah, I should point out as well that this guy, when he got hit in the face by this arrow, that didn't kill him. Like, he was 16 years old when it happened. Like, when I was 16, I took a day off from college because the sun was a bit bright and my eyes hurt. Because I just had like my first beer or something the day before and I was a little bit hungover. Like, this guy's 16, just taking arrows to the eyeball, man. If they made a movie about that today, they would just put that Superman Returns thingy where like the bullet bounced off Superman's eyeball, which I contend is the greatest example of Superman's power ever seen in a film. Like
That is cool.
Because it was the trailer shot, wasn't it, where the guy shoots him and then just the bullet bounced off his eyeball. It's like, holy fuck, how are you supposed to beat this guy?
So, let me get this straight. He just snapped the shaft of the arrow and left the rest of it in his eye?
Right, so there was still a little bit of it pointing out, but not so much that obviously it'd be unwieldy or could cause him extra arrow, like he bumped into somebody. And the story still gets cooler because, according to legend, he then drew an arrow of his own and shot and killed the guy who just hit him in the face. Like, he shrugged off the injury and then used the other eye to line up a shot and kill the dude who did it. And obviously the battle raged on, he survived, and then he did what most teenagers do after a long, hard day, and went and took a fucking nap, with the arrow still sticking out of his eye socket. And again, according to legend, a samurai walked past and happens upon the body, and assumed, quite understandably, that this guy was dead or dying, and said, oh well, the very least I can do is pull that arrow out. So he put his foot on the face and grabbed the arrow to wrench it from his skull, at which point Kagemasa got all kinds of pissed, kicked the samurai in the dick, stood up with the arrow still in his face and challenged him to a fight, for dishonouring him in such a manner. And I just have a special place in my heart for moments like this in real life and fiction where someone just shrugs off what would be, for most people, a mortal wound and just uses it to empower themselves. The fact that this dude did it 16 years old makes me so annoyed. I never had that moment. And the closest I've ever gotten is when I'm hungover and I've gone to the gym. And you drag his, and it feels like you're climbing Everest. It's like, ah, and you power through. But, oh man, what's your favourite, example of that? Just the person who's been they've got the injury that should realistically have killed them, and they just walk that shit off because they're that pissed off. They use the anger to just fuel them.
That episode of Futurama where Fry challenges Zoidberg or Zoidberg challenges Fry.
Okay.
He just cuts his arm off.
And then he beats him with his own arm.
Beats him with his own arm.
I didn't know where you were going at, but that is an amazing example of that, because he just says oh, you cut you bastard, and just beats him with the arm.
You bastard! I'll kill you! You bastard!
I was going to say Devil May Cry or some shit like that, but I don't think I can top just an ordinary human man shrugging off having his arm cut off to beat a guy to death with it. It's just delivering just constant unending mouth slaps and backhands, one after the other. The thing is though, this story is pretty badass already, but it gets just a little bit cooler because that samurai, upon seeing, Kagemasa stand up with this arrow lodged in his skull, immediately begged for forgiveness and said, I'm so sorry, I thought you were dead. Please, would you give me the honour of removing the arrow from your face in a respectful manner? However the fuck you managed to do that. And obviously, the guy agreed, and the arrow got pulled out, and he went on to, live a life of legend, which is now, told endlessly in Japan, as it fucking should be, because Japan knows better than to ignore this guy's fucking story. So I believe myself and Brad have discussed the various injuries and accidents we've had, but we haven't, Nisha. So have you got any stories of just times you just injured yourself horribly and would now like to share them for the audience at home? So I've got loads. I'm such an idiot. I
I have a few. I'm
Okay.
trying to think of ones that
Well, even
would
just
be
the
funny.
even just the common ones. Have you ever stepped on your straighteners before? So I did that. When I used to
I've also
when I was
burnt
super
my face.
emo. You burnt your face.
I
Oh,
burnt my neck because then I had to tell people over and over again it was not a love bite.
no, I just melted my flesh with straighteners. So I could talk about one that I did the other day that It didn't hurt, but it had the potential to hurt. And I was like making a drink for the gym, and I was trying to get ice cubes in the top of a water bottle.
Right.
Like, do you know those metal water bottles that stays cold? But I was like, oh, I can't get the ice cubes. So I tried to push it with my finger, and I pressed too hard and got my fingernail on the edge of the metal thing, and it went halfway up my nail, but not all the way. So it ripped the nail halfway off. And obviously, like, you can't do anything with that. So that was like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and I had to wait for the fingernail to grow out so I could cut it. And every time I, like, moved my hand a little bit, I went like that, I could feel the nail wobble and all the skin underneath. And I'm really sorry for saying I can see your audio thing, but that was one recently for me where I was like, that could have been a lot worse, and that really hurts.
There's one moment I remember from when I worked in retail years ago, where when you attach security tags to clothing, you obviously have the pin and you have the white security tag.
Oh, and you connect them both together and it stays on the clothing, yeah.
And there was this one time the pin wouldn't go into the tag. It was being really stubborn. So I got my hand to like smack it.
Like a smart person does.
Yeah, and as I did it, the security tag side fell and I smacked my hand right onto the pin and it went straight in my palm.
The worst one I've ever seen of that is on a bar, and it's like when you're making cocktails, you have a Boston shape, it's made of tempered glass. However, they look almost identical to a pint glass, which is not made of tempered glass, and obviously you can't hit it, you can't shake it around. And someone made the mistake of putting a pint glass into a cocktail shaker.
Oh no.
And obviously they made it normally, but then they went to bang it on the end, and the pint glass just shattered instantaneously, like 15 pieces of glass got stuck in the palm of their hand. And not to mention as well, what's on the inside of that glass, like, lime juice, lemon juice from a cocktail. It's probably not the most painful thing, but I imagine that stung quite a bit for a while afterwards. Oh man, the worst was when you like dislocate a finger or something.
Oh God. I did that with my knee.
Oh God, I've never done that, but I've done like, I think a toe once, and then I think a finger once when I fell over. And it's when you pop it back in and you get that, it hurts until you pop, and then you get that instant relief. Just all the blood rushing. It's like, oh, just so satisfying.
I don't know if I've ever told you about how like I have weird toes. Where occasionally...
You're going to get a lot of messages on Instagram asking to see your toes now.
No. That they like occasionally, it's usually the first and second one just randomly just come out of socket like it's normal. And like when I tell people, they're like, "Oh my God, that's disgusting." I'm like, "Oh, I'm used to it."
Yeah. And you just got to pop them back in place. Do you have to do it when you have to stand on your toe with the hip?
I just kind of bend my foot so it just pops it back in. And
yeah. Kicked a wall in a nightclub once. The next day, my foot hurt and just went, and you just hear this pop, but it's instant relief.
Yeah.
And I can tell one more story that people are not, they're going to hate it, but you know what? If you're stuck around this long, you don't mind something squeamish. I'm not going to name the name, but it's always stuck. And they said they had a really bad verruca on their foot. Like one of the ones where basically you cannot step down. It hurts that much. And they said they got so pissed off. They got like a bottle of whiskey, just drank it all, and they got a pair of pliers and they pulled it out. And they said, like, basically, and if people don't know, like, that's rooted into your foot. Yeah. And they said, again, instant relief the moment it was removed. Because obviously it pulled a huge chunk of their foot out, but it's fucking worth it not to deal with that shit again. But yeah, pull it out with pliers. And then obviously I've got stories about people who've like, done the same thing with like toenails and stuff. When they come, when you split them in half. Yeah, sorry Nisha. I hope you don't have to edit this one.